This is Drink Talk, where we try to solve the world's problems one drink at a time. Each week in this podcast, the topics of today and tomorrow are discussed while we sample some of the finest libations known to man. Join us. We are your hosts, Brian and Britt.
Check us out.
All right.
I like how you say that every all right.
All right. I don't know if you noticed this, but I've got a little bit more bass in my voice.
You got your sexy voice today.
I do have my sexy voice today.
I kind of dig it.
I've been on the road, Brian. I've been road hard. Or hard on the road.
Hard on the road.
Yeah, maybe that's
a lot of windshield time.
That's the best way. Well, it wasn't too bad. We were down in Oklahoma City. And it's about a 7.5 hour drive from here. It's not too bad. But the work there was like 15-hour days, 16-hour days every single day. There was one day that we didn't have to be to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that evening, which would have been Friday night, we went out and had some drinks.
Hey.
Because we didn't get to go out for St. Patty's Day. So we
What
went
was the
out.
town? Did you say the town? I know you said
Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
We were in Bricktown.
Bricktown
In Oklahoma City.
Bricktown?
Well, there is
a lot of dirt.
They do have red dirt.
Yeah.
And a lot of oil rigs down there.
Oh, yeah.
But we were drinking at this little place called, what was it? Not local, but the Public House. The Public House. And it was a lot of fun. We got there, and it was going to be a group of us, like 12 people, 13, 14 people, I don't know. A crew of people. And they picked this table and only had like 8 or 9 chairs on it. I'm like, guys, this is not going to work. Like, some of us would be here, and then like some of us be over here. I'm like, we need a bigger space. Oh, is there like a front room here that has a door? So the door was wide open. We went right inside. We made ourselves at home. I turned down the fans. I changed the channel on the TV. And the front window had this huge front glass window. And I'm like, ka-chink, ka-chink. And I open it up. And it's like a cabana that you would, throw party beads off of. It was great.
Nice.
Brought the outside air in. Oh, it was a lot of fun. And we partied until 1 in the morning. So we kind of did St. Patty's Day. Just a little bit.
And speaking of that, since, we're already starting stories, and we haven't started in on the drink already.
I had to get the story of why my voice was low.
Okay.
It was because of that.
My voice is always low.
And working so hard.
Well, so you only work hard, or your voice only changes when you work hard? Is that what that...
No.
I don't...
No.
So anyway, because it was St. Patty's Day yesterday, and we kind of skipped out on that one as far as we were concerned. We did not partake of that as Drink Talk, but we will today. And in honor of that, we will be drinking on Jameson.
Absolutely.
And so I went to Hy-Vee, one of my favorite places to buy all my alcohol, and they had this really cool sampler pack of Jamesons. There are 3 different kinds.
You kind of tripped me up a little bit. You sent a picture, and I'm all like, wow, that's a lot of whiskey to bring over. And then you brought it over, and I'm like,
they're smaller bottles.
Look at that.
They're smaller bottles. So
kind of what it reminds me of is that little 5 sampler pack we did for New Year's Eve.
Absolutely. I mean, this is more alcohol per container, but yes, probably about the same amount of alcohol total, I would guess.
Because mine was 5 and yours was 3.
Yep. And the first one we're going to be drinking on is just the regular Jameson Irish Whiskey. It is a triple distilled whiskey. You want to? Is there? Once you start pouring, then we'll. I'm going to be just drinking some of these neat. I'm sure Britt will be making drinks. But,
I'm going to do this first one neat in honor of St. Patty's Day.
Nice. So, all right, I'm going to add a little water because I just do just like a
absolutely.
Here.
Ooh, I got a little something better for you.
You got a
squeeze bottle.
We'll get you prepared.
I was planning on doing the same thing you were doing.
Nice. Just a little. Yep. 2 squirts for you.
That's right. I got to go a little lighter.
Clinky before you drinky.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Jameson. Like real men.
Oh, yeah, whiskey.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's good. It's a little sweeter than most whiskeys. It's smooth. Really smooth.
By the end of this show, you're not going to be able to recognize me.
We will have these sexy voices all around.
Right? Exactly.
Now, this is really good. And I don't know if I don't think I added too much water, but this is really smooth.
Yeah. Usually when I have a cheap whiskey or something like that, when I take that first sip, I'm like, You know, I get that little like shake down my throat. When it goes down my throat, it's all warm, and your whole body just kind of does one of those little shiver shakes.
This warms you, but not. It's a subtle warm. Yeah. I get like the bite in the back. Like some whiskeys, like it's really assertive right up front, and it's a harsh notes right up front. This is like very smooth, and then in the back you get the heat warming you down, and then a little bit of harshness. But yeah, it's very, very subtle aroma.
I mean, if you've ever had whiskey in your life and you haven't had Jameson, come on, you got to.
Wait a minute, hold on. Am I overcompensating, or I mean, what's the?
Oh, I see where you're doing that. Hey, you got a new cup.
I did.
Where did you pick up this new cup?
Sur la table.
Sur la table.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place to go to because they have a lot of cool stuff that's not cheap.
Yeah.
This is so Britt is drinking out of the Glencairn glass, which is
from the Rabbit Hole.
The Rabbit Hole, which is a good. I have the rye. I have Rabbit Hole rye, and it is delicious. But this is a bigger version of that. Just sits a little lower. It's more bulbous. Has a larger top. You can fit more alcohol in it.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
So this was $10. Not
at your price
not
range.
ridiculous, but I mean, not cheap for one piece of stemware.
Sure.
So, but I enjoy it. It's good.
So, yeah. Apparently, we're going to talk on some. Knife fights.
Knife fights. Well, knife fights.
Knife fights. Knife fights.
Well, that's kind of what. Not only was it St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
But also, you know, every man should carry a knife. And
EDC knives.
Yeah, EDC, and every man should drink whiskey.
And that's everyday carry for those people that don't know.
But let's backtrack a little bit about St. Patrick's Day, because
that's not.
I had some myths about St. Patty's Day.
What?
So, well, do you know what it's about? Because today it's all about how much you can drink, and let's start drinking at 6 a.m. and let's puke our guts out at noon, and then go for corned beef and cabbage.
If I was a guy that just didn't know anything at all, I would go with St. Patty saved the people from not able to have, like, the liquor was getting taken away. And St. Patty wrote in, and he's like, "No, you can't. You can't take that away." And gave everyone the liquor.
You were on the right track, so kind of. So St. Patrick's Day, really, the true definition of St. Patty's Day is a celebration of Irish heritage, as well as the arrival of Christianity to Ireland, and it's also in honor of St. Patrick. Now, some of the myths that I have are about St. Patrick.
Ah.
So, yes.
Tell me about St. Patrick.
St. Patrick. He is the patron saint of St. Patrick's Day and a big saint in Ireland. But a little-known fact is he was not Irish. He was actually Roman and what is now Great Britain. He grew up in that area.
Gotcha.
Not that he was British, because I don't think at the time it was really known as that, but his parents were of Roman descent as well as local descent there too.
So he was a wayward traveler.
No, actually, he was kidnapped by Irish, by people in Ireland.
What a weird turn of events.
Right. He was kidnapped when he was young. When he was a boy, he was kidnapped. He was forced to be a shepherd for like 6 years in Ireland. And then he made it back home, became a priest, went back over to Ireland, and started converting pagans into Christianity, into the Christian faith. And
pagans or pagans?
Pagans.
Gotcha.
Pagan.
I heard pagans, and I'm like,
pagans, piglet.
I think they're called pagans, Brian.
And here's another myth. A lot of people associate St. Patrick with driving out the snakes of the Emerald Isle.
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Very good, sir.
Not actually true.
Oh.
There were no snakes. It's a pretty snake-free island, as it has been for a while. The waters around the Emerald Isle are actually pretty frigid, so reptiles wouldn't really be able to get there, and they're not natural there. So it was actually used as an allegory about converting pagans to Christianity.
Oh, okay.
So driving out the snakes.
Brian, I feel that much more smarter now.
Yep. I got a couple more.
Oh, wow. No,
couple more.
Give them to me.
Yep.
I'll get some peanuts out or something.
Green and St. Patrick's Day, right? That's what we associate with.
I've got no peanuts around here.
You got no nuts.
Sorry.
Dang it, that's all right. That's all right. So green and St. Patrick's Day. I mean, obviously during St. Patrick's Day, you see a lot of green. People wearing leprechaun outfits, which, by the way, is a derogatory thing. If you go back in the history of leprechauns, what that really actually means, it's pretty derogatory towards the people of Ireland. But
yeah, so don't do it.
Yeah. So, but green wasn't the original color Actually, the Knights of the Order of St. Patrick wore blue. It wasn't until the 18th century that they switched over to green. I'm not really sure why they switched over to green. They just did.
But it's so much more fun of a color to wear than blue. Green is just, it's fun.
I like blue.
No. Don't get me wrong. I like blue. But green, I mean, well, look at the Jameson bottle. It's green.
Hey,
boom.
How about that? And then corned beef and cabbage. Kind of the traditional St. Patrick's Day meal.
Didn't come from there.
Not from there. Well, I mean, it did, but not only like the high rollers were able to get corned beef. Basically, what they had was something closer to what like ham and bacon is what they had.
Ham and bacon sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I had. Oh, and did you know that he used the 3-leaf clover to explain Christianity, the Holy Trinity?
I thought it was 4-leaf clover.
3-leaf, Holy Trinity.
Oh, well, that would make more sense.
And they're easier to find.
Exactly. They're everywhere.
The 4-leaf clover is for luck.
Yes. Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yes. And that is the knowledge dropped to you by Drink Talk on St. Paddy's Day.
All right.
About St. Paddy's Day, after St. Paddy's Day, whatever. Also, today,
National
Faja's Day.
Faja's Day.
It's Faja's birthday.
Faja's birthday.
Yes. A little shout out to Faja.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Father.
He's dead. He's dead.
He's not dead.
Dad.
Oh,
his father.
We'll be hanging out with him tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. Celebrating his life.
I believe our sister Erica was just getting in town today. I just got in town just a couple hours ago. And so we're going to get together tomorrow night. So
yeah,
that'll be fun.
It'll be nice.
It's been a while because they've been out of town for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow. I wish I could take a 3-week vacation.
Well, I think it's his first one, and he deserves it.
Yeah.
So
he does.
Yes. Moving along to our talk. Knife fight.
I have to cut this lime here.
Yeah, okay. As Britt cuts the lime with the knife.
Yeah, right.
A couple earlier this week, a friend of mine and I were sitting at one of our favorite spots to drink, Scissors and Scotch, and he was asking about the talk, what we were doing this week, and I said, well, we're rolling around a couple things, but what do you have for suggestions? And he said, well, honestly, I think you guys should talk about knife rights. And I said, well, that's something really no one's talking about. And he said, that's exactly the point. And he sent me a couple of videos, which I forwarded on to Britt, and Britt and I both agreed we need to talk about this.
Indubitably.
Yes. Why do we need to talk about knife rights?
Because that's what we do on this show. We talk about stuff before anyone talks about it, and then weeks later, people are like, oh, we should talk about that.
Well, in all actuality, the people at kniferights.org, Doug Ritter is the founder of that. He's been traveling for quite some time, since 2006. Actually, he started...
Well, they're just as important as gun laws. Right. Knife laws and gun laws are kind of not hand in hand, I would say, but very close together.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go there, that brings up the Second Amendment, which everybody's talking about gun rights right now, right? Which is the Second Amendment, but it doesn't say anything about guns. It says arms. Now, knives, when used, not as a tool, are arms if they're used in self-defense or even for criminal activity, which is
so this big giant knife I was using just a minute ago, I was using as a tool to cut my lime.
Absolutely, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But about Doug Ritter, 2006, he read a Wall Street Journal article about tactical knives, and he was just so pissed off the tactical knives. He said all it was basically scary-looking knives, and not because they were bad or they were hurting people, because it's the criminal activity that actually hurts people, not the knife itself. A knife is an inanimate object. So
guns don't hurt people. It's the people pulling the trigger that are hurting the people by using the weapon.
But there have been people that have been accidentally shot because someone was cleaning the gun. It was loaded and all that. So purely accidental. Could be accidental, could be coincidental.
Hey, but you could have a knife in your hand and it could be pointed towards you and you fall down the staircase. That could happen.
It could happen, but really it's an inanimate object.
I bet you that
the knife itself doesn't open up and start slashing people.
I mean, it's just any kind of knife, you know. This is a knife that doesn't open.
Yes, you can hurt yourself with any tool, really.
You could hurt yourself anywhere.
Right.
You could hurt yourself jumping off a riser, which I did. And
you could break an arm swimming.
Well, I wasn't swimming, right?
I know.
On a pool deck, but close enough. Fair enough.
So also in 2009, they started battling the switchblade knife rule, which the Federal Switchblade Act was actually, I didn't realize how old that was. I mean, when you and I were growing up, the switchblades, it was a cool factor in the movies, but actually they've been outlawed since 1958. The Federal Switchblade Act in August 12th of 1958. The term
and
switchblade.
that's one of those, you push a button and it goes.
Yep. I was just going to do the technical definition, but the term switchblade knife means any knife having a blade which opens automatically by hand pressure applied to a button or other device on the handle of the knife, or by operation of inertia, gravity, or both. Which we can get into a little bit on gravity knives, which is
very interesting and goes all the way back to like the Soviet era and things of that nature.
World War II. Yep. And since 2010, kniferights.org has been fighting other legislation in the 50 states. So did you?
Well, see, my cup is half the size of yours,
right.
So my one cup is your one cup. Two of my cups is one of your cups.
Okay, fair enough. Some of the things that they are trying to introduce recently, Knife Owners Protection Act. That's something that they introduced last year. It's right now HR 84, which stands for the House of Representatives. 84, the bill that's been introduced. It has not been enacted yet. But what that does, it would allow you, if you lived in a state that allowed a certain type of knife, and you went on a road trip, and you were going to another destination that knife was legal, the stuff that's in between, whether it was illegal or not, you are still protected. So if you got pulled over...
I'm going here, I'm not using it here in where I'm at, I'm going over there, and I was over there.
Right. So if you get pulled over and they pull it out in an area where it's illegal, they can't arrest you for that. Sure. Because your first destination and your final destination, they're legal there. So that
best place in America to have a knife.
I would say Arizona,
Texas, and Arizona. I believe.
Texas is actually starting to crack down on knives. So I would say it seems weird because I mean when you think of Texas,
but Arizona has no laws.
Well, I wouldn't say no laws.
You can carry a sword.
You can carry a sword, which sounds a little weird. It's a little drastic, yes, but really they don't have any. And actually, here in Nebraska, in our great state of Nebraska that we live in, you can open carry any knife. I don't think it goes to swords and axes and all that, but you can
I thought it was 4 inches,
3.5 inches.
Yeah, 3.
Okay,
it was somewhere in there.
That's only if you conceal carry. If you carry a knife that is less than 3.5 inches and you conceal carry it in your pocket where it can't be seen, you're fine. If it's over 3.5 inches here in Nebraska, then you have to have a concealed carry permit, and if you don't, then yes, you can get in trouble. But you can still, if you take that knife and you open carry it like in a holster on your belt, then you're fine.
Well, like my EDC, which I'll bring.
We are also not lawyers, so do your own research on laws in your state.
So, like the EDC, the everyday carry knife that I use, it has this little thing, so I can put it in my pocket and it sticks out. Yeah. So, would you consider that not concealed or concealed?
See, to me, it sticks out, and I guess that's going to be up to the discretion. And that's the problem with a lot of these laws. It's going to be up to the discretion of the arresting officer. Back to the gravity knife thing that I was talking about. What the gravity knife is, it was for paratroopers. And when it almost looked like a switchblade, but without the actual button for the switchblade. And when you would turn it upside down,
it was like this, and then it had a hole in the top.
Right.
And then you just turn it over,
and the blade would just drop right out and lock.
Gotcha.
And those have been illegal. Those were just for paratroopers, from my knowledge, just for the military. So they weren't ever really for. I'm sure you could get them as civilians, but they weren't really intended for that. It was just for the military. But those have been outlawed for a very long time.
Yeah.
Nor have they been in production for a very long time.
Finding one, and if you do, you're probably sitting on some money because.
But from that, you're right. And from that, places like New York would actually use the description of a gravity knife to also include centrifugal force, and centrifugal force would be a wrist flick. So if you could take a knife in the state of New York, and we're going to get into that in a second.
All right, fair enough.
So this is just a complete wrist flick. If you could open it, then it was illegal.
Gotcha.
The problem is, who's wrist flicking it? Which cop? I mean, is it
Wasn't there a story where there was a
chef?
Black gentleman that was a chef, and he had a whole bunch of knives in his backpack, which
all
they knew about.
Chef knives.
And they were totally cool with that. But then he had.
But that's why they stopped and frisked him.
Yeah,
was because of the knives.
And then they found this like box cutter knife,
2-inch pocket knife.
Yeah, a pocket knife The first officer like threw it open and couldn't get it open. The second one did it and couldn't get it open. But the third one was strong enough to do it.
Yeah, and he actually had some priors, so he got in
big time. He went to jail.
Federal.
Yeah.
Which again, you said what state has the best laws. So on the other side of that, let's go with the state that has the worst laws, which would be New Jersey.
New Jersey.
I'm getting close. Before I get into New Jersey, I want to
get into the next one.
Because we're kind of flying through these a little bit. The topic, I should say.
Yeah. I need some water.
Those of you that are watching, there's a couple people watching here. If you would like to chime in on something that you want us to talk about with the knife laws, or if you have something, a story, or you have a question, go ahead and post that to the chat. We will be watching.
Answer.
There is a little bit of delay, just so you know. There's about a 30-second delay in between what you type in when we see that. So just be aware.
Do you want to drink this neat as well, or would you like to go into one of my cocktails?
I'm going to drink neat first.
Okay, so you're going to do all three neat, and then we'll go into a cocktail?
Just to get a flavor profile of all three of them. Thank you. Water.
Getting there?
I got it. I found it.
I'm just going to pour mine a little thicker than yours. Thank you, sir.
Now, this next one, I guess we should talk about it. These are all Jameson.
Yes.
So, and this one is the Caskmates. And
you know what? I really like what they're doing nowadays at stores, where, I mean, sometimes you get a little daunted when you go into the aisle of rums and whiskeys and all that sort of stuff. And it was just this New Year's Eve when I saw that sampler pack of whiskeys that we actually did on the show, and I thought, what a great idea.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know what you want.
Well, here's the thing. It was 5 whiskeys. If you would buy all 5 whiskeys individually, you're easily going to be spending $200, $250. And the thing was $50, you know, and I get to sample all 5 without breaking the bank.
It's a great way to expand your horizons. So this next one, it's a pretty cool series that they're doing. They have an IPA. This one is actually the Stout edition. It's the Caskmates. This started off, there was a brewer that talked to one of the distillers, and they thought about a collaboration project. This was back in 2014. And since then, history has been made with these Caskmates. Also, it's just the traditional triple distilled Irish whiskey, which is blended. And then they age it or finish it in craft beer barrels. This one happens to be the Stout.
In beer barrels?
Yeah. Stout is a beer.
Well, yeah, but when you think of barrels, I think of wine. I don't think of beer, you know. Oh, beer does their stuff in wine barrels.
Right.
So was it wine first and then beer and now whiskey?
Well, I know that they use, for this one, for the black, I know that they use a double charred bourbon. So they probably have a barrel and then they just mature. Yeah. Because they do,
I guess whiskey is out of a barrel as well. So whiskey and wine,
Right, but they also barrel age beer. I mean, we've had the barrel aged beer before. So that's probably what these come from.
Gotcha.
Is that. So,
all right. Well,
to that.
Clinky. And I did something a little special on mine.
A little lime or?
Yeah.
A little lime.
So I just put a little lime right where I put my tongue or my lips. Just to give it a little bit
citrusy.
Of lime. Yeah.
This one has a little bit more flavor. I like it.
It's a little bit sharper than the first one.
Yeah, it's not as smooth, but it's still pretty
still
darn
smooth.
Yeah,
it's still smooth, but it's just got a little bit of a sharper note to it.
Yeah, I like the nose on it. The nose smells a little sweeter than a whiskey.
So I believe this was 80 proof as well. 40%. Yep, this is 40% as well.
Is it on there?
Yeah, they're all 40%.
Okay, so all 80 proof, which is the bare minimum for whiskey. So.
I have Mr. Winther here.
Says, that is a great question.
Yeah,
we were just kind of getting into that.
Go ahead and read it. You're seeing your screen closer than I'm seeing my screen.
So Chris asked the question: I have a concealed carry for a handgun. Does it cover a knife, or is that different? So your concealed carry specifically pertains to your gun. However, if you have a concealed carry, you are allowed to carry, in the state of Nebraska, you are allowed to carry knives that are larger than 3.5 inches. The blade.
Good to know.
Yeah, the blade. You can open carry as a regular person in Nebraska. The way I read the laws, again, we're not lawyers, So, but the way that I have interpreted the law, it just says that if you open carry, it's, whatever. But if you conceal carry a pocket knife that is 3.5 to 4 inches or larger, you have to have a concealed carry permit for that. So it does cross over 2 knives a little bit, if that answers your question, Chris.
Gotcha. So with that said, this knife right here, since I don't have a conceal and carry, is a little illegal.
That would be about a 4.5, 5 inch knife.
I'd say almost
there?
6.
Pretty much.
Pretty close.
Yep.
A buddy of mine gave this to me.
That's not your everyday carry knife, is it?
No, this one sits next to my in the nightstand next to my bed.
That almost looks like a boot knife, but like a folding boot knife, not a.
It's heavy duty, and it's got quite a lock on it, and it is real. Like I could take off my fingernail with this one. Yep, there it goes.
Nice. This one actually, because I was going to bring my hunting knife, but I thought that's not something that I carry in my pocket.
Right.
So I carry it in my backpack.
But since I don't have a conceal and carry gun permit, this would be illegal on me, is what you're saying.
Correct.
But possibly legal for him to carry.
If you carried it in your pocket, I think that would be illegal. If you had it in a leather pouch that was attached to your belt, that might be different. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I guess that's going to be up to the interpretation of the arresting officer.
Gotcha.
Which is, again, a lot of these ambiguous laws.
I just have this next to my bed for home protection. Yep. You know,
this is the one. This is the largest knife that I actually carry. On my person's.
Now, did you just flick your wrist and get that up in there?
I did not.
But could you?
Why don't you give it I would say no. Go ahead and give it a go. Hey, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So then in the state of New York, this would be illegal.
Yes.
No matter how large or small the knife is.
Now, I did give my thumb just a little bit of pressure on that point, which a cop would do as well. But yes, that would be illegal.
There are also other states. Did you notice that you can't, once it is locked into position, it is locked.
It's solid.
Right? There are some states that this is illegal.
A locking position?
A locking knife is illegal.
Well, wouldn't you want it to lock so you don't cut your fingers?
Absolutely. So really, in those states, about the only thing that I can think of would be a knife like this. Like this, your old grandfather's knife, or like a Swiss Army knife.
Oh yeah, like a pocket knife you'd keep in your pocket to open up mail, or
because it doesn't lock.
Yeah, a little. Look at that! That's great. I was thinking about grabbing mine as well. Yep. Shout out to
Eric.
Eric, for getting these little knives for us because we were
in the wedding.
In the wedding. But good call.
Yeah. This one actually, this is the one I like to carry a little more. This one's small and smooth. I like this one, but this is the one right here.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I like that.
And there's some hidden features on that one, but that one also doesn't have a locking mechanism.
By Leatherman, huh?
It is a Leatherman. It's like the skeletal, but it's a micro.
Oh wow, that's a nice sharp knife.
Very
sharp.
See if you can.
Now, did you sharpen this?
No, that came like that.
Wow, that is for a factory sharpness.
And I've probably had that knife for about 8 years. So it's and
it looks like brand new still.
Yeah. Well, I clean all my knives. So see if you can find.
I can see Brian home on a Friday night. I'm not going out to the bar right now. I'm going to clean my knives.
Well, I'm just practicing for when my girls turn 16.
Oh, there you go. Do it right in the living room, right by the front door.
Right, yeah. So see if you can find the hidden feature on there.
Well, I see that there's other stuff inside of here.
Correct. It is a multi-tool kind of thing, kind of like a Swiss Army, but it's smaller. It's got a file in there.
It's got.
But there is a hidden feature. I'm waiting for you to find it.
All right. Well, I'll find it.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll find it.
Yeah, Leatherman's a good brand. I, when I was in the military, I liked Gerber just because of the way it was. You could snap them out. The multi-tools, but Leatherman is a very tried and true. I believe still made in America. I know that there's some Gerbers that are made overseas and some are made here.
Well, there's this thing that
did you find it?
There's a thing that looks like it would come out.
Let me see.
It's right there.
The right one? That is the hidden feature, and that's the one that I use.
I just don't know how to get it out.
There. Other than the knife, right?
That is the other hidden feature.
Well, other than the knife, the knife is the number one thing that I use on here.
Yeah.
The scissors.
I'm sure you. Hang on, I got this piece of paper to cut real quick. Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah. Other than the knife, though, this would be my number 2 thing that I use all the time.
Yeah.
When I was carrying this,
I saw it, but I was like, "How does it?
Yeah,
how do you push it out?"
No, it's just a fingernail thing.
Oh, there it is. Yep, I saw it in there. I just didn't know how to get it. Oh, tweezers! Oh my gosh, little sliver in the foot, and little sliver in the finger.
Yep.
Oh, that's actually awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. But this is pretty much legal everywhere, unless I don't know of any states that say you can't carry any.
That is the tiniest little knife known to man. There, you'd get in no trouble.
What do you think?
Bringing it.
Inch and a half?
Yeah,
not quite 2 inches. Maybe an inch and 3/4.
Yeah, very very small.
So pretty much can carry that everywhere.
But this knife right here, I tried messing around with it and tried playing with it. I believe that this little Husky knife that I got at Lowe's, I believe is where Husky is sold. That knife would be totally legal in New York. No problems whatsoever.
Think so?
Try to flick it open. Yeah, even use your thumb and try to flick it open. Hey, well, you got it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the
But
problem.
it took you 4 tries.
Right, yeah. And that's
And that took you.
that's even though it's locked, it's still kind of loose.
That is my oldest knife.
Well,
do you notice it does not come to a point anymore?
I do.
And now I use it as a screwdriver.
Right. Which I would say that the stainless steel knives are good if you need to like pry something. If you have a ceramic blade, please do not pry with those. Those are very brittle blades.
Yes. I mean, this knife I bought probably 9-10 years ago, and it sits in a little bowl by my dresser, and when I'm needing a knife and I can't find any knives whatsoever, I don't take butcher block knives to go do handiwork. This comes out. I've actually done yard work with this where I've dug holes with it before, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna plant the little plant. Speaking of plants, my plants are starting to come up.
Hey,
I planted 140 bulbs, and they're starting to come up. Yay, springtime. On my way down to Oklahoma City, I was wearing my blue blocker sunglasses.
Blue blockers.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so green out here right now. And Matt, who was driving with us, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, it's a little sunny, but I don't know what you're talking. And he's wearing glasses too. And I had him take off his glasses and put all the blue blockers. He's like, oh my gosh, there's green everywhere. I'm like, yeah, because it kills the blue and then brings out all the other colors. And it's you head south, it's getting very vibrant down there, and everything's starting to bud and pop. So
we're gonna get there, and everybody's allergies are gonna kick up.
Yeah. Oh, hey, do you want a little just a little around the rim?
Yeah, try that.
Try that out. Just a little citrus action for you.
I do want to clarify something that I said earlier, and it was just because I scrolled down in my notes a little more. Here in Nebraska, I was mentioning the laws as far as the 3.5 inch. You can not conceal carry. So in Omaha, unless you have a concealed carry permit, you can't carry open or concealed anything larger than 3.5 inches. But that's in the city of Omaha. State is a little different.
So tell me a law on this one. So this is my EDC that we were talking about earlier that I carry at work at all times.
Okay.
Tell me the laws on this one. All I have to do is press this button,
right,
and it does that.
Yep, and that's what's considered an assisted opening.
Yeah.
Now, there are some states that actually say that an assisted opening knife is a switchblade. And in those in those states, it would be illegal. Well, the one that I carry...
Illegal.
Actually, yeah, illegal. This is the one that I carry all the time in my suits because it's small, and it has the same feature where you just push the button and it flips right open.
Oh, but that's not even 2 inches.
No, it's a small one, but it's still considered a switchblade in some states.
Speaking of that, I'm like, how big is mine? How big is my knife compared to your knife?
Not the size that counts.
If this is 1.5 to 2 inches, I'd say mine's almost 4.
Mine's probably 2.
So technically, mine could be illegal.
No, because this one is legal here in Omaha, and this is the largest one I carry, and I bet yours is about the same. I bet yours is about 3.5.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. It's 3.5 then.
Yep.
By the way, that's a Crenshaw knife I've got here. Yep. Crenshaw knife. Oh, it's the best knife.
I guess we should talk about this. Yeah. This one is a SOG. The other one, the smaller one that I carry all the time in my suits because it is smaller, is Kershaw. You say Crenshaw?
I do say Crenshaw, don't I?
It's Kershaw.
Kershaw.
This is and I always my favorite.
There's
is
no
the
Rin in there. There's a Kershaw.
Yeah. My favorite is the Leak, and this is kind of like the mini Leak.
It's a mini Leak.
I just realized that's awesome.
It's all right. No biggie.
But yeah, this is great. It has a little clip, though I find that when I clip it to my pocket, it just seems so small. So I just carry it in the pocket. But I like it because it has a locking feature on the blade itself. So you can slide this little locking feature and it will not open in your pocket, which is a great feature. And it's actually funny. A lot of my buddies.
I'm just letting the ice cubes cool.
That's fine.
The cup make it a little colder.
I have a lot of friends that carry Kershaws, and every time we get together, it's like, let's all whip them on out there.
You hear this a lot?
Yep. Yep. And we're all like, oh, who's got what? Who's got what?
Nice.
Another end of the spectrum, I guess, the non-assisted opening. This is also another Kershaw that I carry, but I like it because it has the Tonto blade.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, the Tonto blade.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's killer.
Yep. And
you see what I did there?
Yep.
Oh, that is cool. That is a neat blade.
Mm-hmm.
You need to sharpen it, though.
Yeah, it does need some sharpening. That's one of my new ones.
Well,
It'll
still getting my fingernail. Those out there that don't know how to test a real knife and their sharpness, yes, you can run your thumb on it and you can feel how sharp it is with your thumb or your fingertip and all that stuff. But the best way to test the sharpness of a knife is actually to draw it on your fingernail. And if you could peel off your fingernail just a little bit, then...
Or hair on your...
Oh, hair on your wrist. Yeah,
or
might as well shave it off there.
Yeah, on your thumb or whatever.
Yeah, good call.
Yep, that's another good way to
test
it.
I'll hand that to you.
All right. I don't think we got into the worst state. I mean, we talked about it being New Jersey, but we didn't get to the worst state for laws.
The Jersey.
Yep, unfortunately.
Which is so weird that there's laws for knives. It's like...
It's a tool.
It is a tool. And, well, here's what it is.
I carry it all the time.
So what are you gonna outlaw knives? And it's like, now I can't cut my fruit at home. Like you just can't generally even have knives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't get where they're trying to go with
I think it's
these laws.
Carrying it is the problem.
They just don't want you having it in public.
Correct.
So if you're at home on your own property,
yeah,
no big deal.
There's actually, and there are some states that are funny about that. They allow you to own certain knives, but you can't carry the knife. So it's like, so if I bought it somewhere, how am I supposed to get it home? Do you have to mail it from the store?
So now you can get on eBay, you can get on Amazon, you could go to the truck stop and you could pick up enormous knives. Truck stops are, bar none, one of the best places to buy knives because they always have that huge rack and it's like lit up and it's got the 16-inch blade knives in it and all that stuff. They had one, where was I at? Sat Brothers, out there on 144th.
Interstate 80.
Interstate 80, 144th Street exit. They had this knife, and you held it in the middle, and there was a almost probably a foot-long blade on one side, a foot-long blade on the other, and then another like 6-inch, 8-inch blade in the middle. So it was like a full encompass knife holding device.
I wish I would have brought that. Come to think of that, one of the things that I have for home protection at home is it's a metal billy club, and it's only foot and a half long, right?
Yeah.
It's all metal sheath, metal grip, but the grip unscrews, and inside the metal billy club part is a 12-inch knife. And then you can turn it around and you can rescrew it, so now you have a mini sword. So
with you saying that makes me want to bring out this next tool.
Oh, that's got some history to it. But I'm also running on empty. Can we?
All right, we'll pause for just a second. And
pause time.
Pause time.
Yep. Next one, the third and final of the Jamesons. I mean, we'll probably have a mixed drink here in a minute, but the one that we're going to be drinking on is the Black Barrel, which is like I stated earlier.
I don't want to keep going into that thing.
It finished
like a death trap.
It's a cool little thing, though.
It is a neat little carrying device.
There you go. Very nice. These are aged in double charred bourbon barrels, and you can notice the color right away is more of a golden or an amber, whereas the other ones are more of a golden to light. It's slightly darker, not quite black.
No. It's more golden than the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cheers. Clinky before you drinky.
Whoa. Yeah, well, there's your whiskey. That's what made me shiver there.
See, and I like this. I actually like this better than the Caskmate one.
Oh yeah, I like it better than the Caskmate one as well. But it's more of a kick in the mouth.
To me, it's like it's a robust flavor, but it's not harsh. It's a very smooth,
all
robust flavor.
three of these have not been harsh.
No,
I was
this was the harshest one.
When you were saying we're going to do Jameson, and I was, whatever you want to bring over, Brian. I'm always totally comfortable with whatever you bring over. But when you said you bring Jameson over, I'm like, okay, cool. It's tried and true. It's an Irish whiskey, and we're going to be doing St. Paddy's Day here, essentially. When I took that first drink of Jameson, I haven't had Jameson in a long time.
Right.
But I was like, man, that's smooth.
Yeah.
That's so smooth.
And it's a blended, it's aged, it's triple distilled. So the distilling process, as I think we talked about this last talk, was the distilling process itself. As you distill it more and more times, you get the smoothness, you get the impurities out of there. So this, even though if I'm going to do Irish whiskey, I will hands down go to Powers. For that is just my tried and true. And I had a friend of mine that introduced me to that. We don't have Powers here.
Oh, I was just saying, so far this year we haven't done a whiskey yet.
No, we've done rum.
Well, we did for New Year's Eve. We did the whiskeys,
right?
But that was actually before New Year's Eve. That was like a couple days before New Year's Eve.
I thought we did it on New Year's. Anyway,
no, we didn't celebrate on New Year's Eve, Brian. I believe it was a day before, maybe.
I was going to say, because our first show was...
Because, wasn't New Year's Eve on Monday?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Like, we can't get a calendar out and see when we
I know. If only we had a device that had all that information on there.
Exactly.
Other than that, I was going to try and... Yeah, it says it has a richer flavor.
I was 100% correct. We possibly did do it on New Year's Eve because it was the 31st. Monday was New Year's Day. So, but we also could have recorded on the 30th on Saturday instead of Sunday.
That's true. Could have. Where were we?
Oh, back to this thing.
Oh, yes.
You were talking about a device that... Let's hear a little bit more about this device you were talking about. You had some
gravity knife, or are you talking?
No,
okay, for home protection.
Yeah.
So, you can picture a billy club, all metal.
Something like a cop has.
It's like a small baton, basically, that police would carry.
Is there something you need to say, Brian?
I like
you like
batons.
You like throwing batons?
Yeah, and I light them on fire.
Whoa.
Anyway, so I have this next to my bed because it's if you have a bat is a good thing to have for home protection, but if you have hallways, that bat turns into a liability because you don't have a lot of room
to swing it.
Absolutely.
Unless you tomahawk it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But then you're hitting chandeliers and light fixtures and
great
and all that. Yeah,
hit them.
But
make the burglar go, "Wow, what the heck was that?"
But really, if you're in a hallway and you have a bat, that person
you're restricted.
Exactly, and the person can close the distance on you because you have such a large arc that you need for that bat. And there are some maneuvers that you can use with the bat that don't involve swinging it in the full arc like baseball style. But this is, like I said, it's about an 18-inch all metal. So, just alone is going to hurt.
So it's kind of like one of those Maglite flashlights. It's kind of like
way skinnier.
The big one.
But way skinnier.
Okay.
So it's probably about the thickness of the test tubes.
Yeah. But
roughly
this thick, maybe a little thicker.
Maybe a little thicker than that, yeah. But the blade, so inside you unscrew the handle and you can pull out this 12-inch blade from the 18-inch
awesome
thing. And then you can turn it around because there's a screw on the back end of the screw it together, and then you have a 18-inch handle and a 12-inch blade.
That reminds me of the war times, like World War and Civil War, where they had these blades mounted to the guns on the front side.
Oh yeah, bayonets.
Yes, bayonets.
Yeah. Which you could take off and actually use you could use them in your hand, but they you could affix them to your rifle and use them in a stabbing motion. I guess you could slice.
How was that again, Brian?
PQ.
All right, so now your thing that is sitting bedside, which this knife is sitting bedside.
Yeah.
But this is also sitting at bedside. Not that I need it in the house, but it is where it is. Only because I got it from my grandmother. Mm-hmm. So,
and who used to own that?
Bob Roberts. Mm-hmm. Bob Roberts used to own this. This was his,
which is our grandfather,
which is my mother's father. So first of all, it looks like he gave you a knife.
I like the bone inlay. So I don't know if this. Yeah. I don't know. I'm assuming back then. that this is actual bone.
It could be.
Nowadays, you would have a plastic type material that looks like this, but isn't actually bone. But
it's cool. It is a neat looking thing.
And by itself, you throw without the blade even being extended.
That's heavier than the knife I have.
I know, it's so,
and it's the same size, but it's twice as heavy.
Oh yeah, because it's all metal, and this is like plastic or.
This is 1940s metal.
40s or 50s. I mean, it's Korean era. I mean, he was in Korean War,
and he could have had this in the Korean War. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But a neat little thing. You pull this little trigger right here, and this comes down, and you would think that it actually has a measuring device. I didn't even know that on that.
Oh, on the actual little thing coming out. I didn't even see that. Oh yeah, how about that?
Look at that, and it also has
a multi-tool.
It has a patent number on it. So if those folks at home that want to look this up, it says patent. Oh, it only has the date. You want to hear the date?
I'm gonna get So this is from the Korean War.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna guess.
I have a patent number date.
So the Korean War was at the beginning of the 1950s. So I'm gonna go with this was actually made in 1947.
October 22nd, 1935.
35. Wow.
Yeah.
Man. So this had been around for a while.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. So anyway, so you have this thing that kind of resembles a knife, but it's not a knife. It is.
No, it looks like a handle to a knife.
It looks like the handle to a knife.
Like if you were to look at this, you'd be like, "Where's the switchblade comes out of here, right?" Like
it'd be one of those the gravity knives.
Yeah,
it looks like a gravity knife.
Well, the gravity knives had a larger handle, but yes, it looks like something would come out of here.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
And so we open this up and we keep that open, and we pull out.
And you do need to show the camera a little more.
Oh yeah. This baby slides in. Let me get this right.
Like a tomahawk.
Tomahawk. So and then you slide this big in, and that little piece, that's the lock. So when you push back on it, that little piece, since you're holding that metal piece right there, it will not go back because that's the lock that you pulled open to put it in. So that little piece of metal right there holds that little piece of metal. And this baby, that'll cut your fingernail.
Well, and those that are not, and I guess we should explain these a little more since if you're listening to the audio and not watching on video, this went from a knife handle,
which was only about 3 inches maybe.
We'll go
3.5,
3.5, 4 inches.
Yep.
And then attached to that is actually an axe.
Yes.
All stainless steel.
100%.
Very, very sharp.
About 9 inches maybe.
Yep. And then,
but the blade of it is only about 2.5 inches.
Right. So the cutting surface is about 2.5 inches, 2.5 to 3 inches. The head is about 4 to 5 inches.
This is steel from
and this is
1935.
Heavy. This is like carrying a Buick in your pocket. Right? I mean, it's
for
just
sure. Well, you don't have to carry it in your pocket because it actually has a holster and it went on your belt.
Yeah.
And this is genuine leather, I would assume. They didn't make fake leather back then.
Are these bloodstains?
Oh my gosh! And right here,
I'm just kidding.
Right here, no, hold on. It's stamped February 5th, 1935, right on the belt right here.
Man,
February 5th, 1935.
Which that was made before because this was October 35. Yeah. Man, this is such a cool piece of history.
Right?
Yep.
I had to have it on the show. I'm like, we're talking about knives.
I'm wondering where this
even
falls.
Though it's an axe,
right?
But it's a cutting device.
It's a cutting surface, a cutting device, and
but officer pulls me over. I'd be like, it's only 2 inches. You know?
Yeah, the cutting surface.
The cutting surface is only 2 inches,
and that would probably suffice. I mean, really, because you can't cut any. I mean,
I think if an officer pulled me over and that was on me, and he questioned that, he would sit and chat with me for a while. He'd be like, where did you get this?
Exactly.
Speaking of getting pulled over, we were just outside of Nebraska City, and Matt was driving, and he gets pulled over because he was speeding. And I actually have photographic evidence of this because
he's trying to hide it.
Well, I had to take a few pictures of things. So 2 dudes in a car, one with a laptop on his knees. We were speeding because
trying to get home.
It's the end of the trip and we just want to get home. We've been gone for a week, and he even let the officer know. He's like, hey, I know the officer was very observant of what was going on.
This was in Nebraska?
This was in Nebraska.
Okay. All right.
It's like, hey, you're so close to being home. You know, you're 45 minutes. We're just outside of Nebraska City. So it's like, you're 45 minutes away from home. Let's just go. Anyway, but I wasn't telling him to speed. He was doing it on his own right, so let him suffer the consequences. Anyway, he's like, Britt, can you reach in the glove compartment and, you know, get my
insurance and all that stuff?
He's like,
paperwork.
my registration and all that stuff, and I pull it open and I'm like it's filled with just
mess.
crap.
Yeah.
And
as most glove boxes are.
yeah, so he goes up to the officer and he hands the officer his license, and he's like, hey, no, I'm sorry, my insurance, I think it's digital and all that stuff. And he looks around and he finds an insurance card and gives it to him, and he's all like, you know, it's an expired insurance card. And he's like, I'm still looking for the registration. But I'm like, the license plate should show, like, you know, 18. It should have a sticker on it. But that sticker fell off because his wife put it on there, and it was dirty, and it fell off. So anyway, here. Long story short, the officer goes away, and he's just all like, I'm gonna get a speeding ticket and all that stuff. I say, you know, I've gotten out a few speeding tickets in my life, and you know, here's what it is: just be honest with the officer. And you were, when he came to the door. You were just like, hey, sorry, we're just excited to get back home and see our wives. We've been gone for a while, you know, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, he hands him license, hands him an expired insurance card. I'm sure the plates were legal, but the sticker had fallen off and all that stuff. Well, anyway, luck be have it, I found his registration in his car in the glove box. I was like, hey, here's a letter that's dated this October 17, so you should be fine. October 17, it's good till next October 18. Anyway, the guy came to the door, and he was super nice. And he handed him a piece of paper, and I'm like, the guy got a ticket, sorry. You know, like, he's like, I'm just gonna give you a warning this time and all that stuff. But hey, make sure that you know, get everything renewed and all that stuff, get that sticker on that plate and all that stuff, and he walks off. Well, I don't think Matt really heard what he was saying, because Matt thought he was getting a ticket, and he got this piece of paper, and he's like, it's a ticket. And so, and he just kind of throws it down and all that stuff. And I quickly pick it up. I'm like, you know, like, well, I got to see what this says and all this. And I was like, blah, 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 this and that, warning. I was like, okay, go on. He goes, how much is it for? And I go,
$200.
I said, dude, you got a warning. He goes, what? I'm like, were you not listening to him?
Yeah.
He said that it was just a warning. He's like, how did that happen? I had... The proof of insurance was, you know, which he found a proof of insurance on his phone, and he actually has valid insurance. He's 100% covered for all of the things that need to happen. But the officer was just like, you guys get home safe, you know. The officer was a little more, I think he had something else going on, because as soon as he, you know, let us go, he whipped around and kept going the same way he was going. And then we passed by another sheriff.
I'm going to do that because
another sheriff. And then another sheriff. Anyway, I think there was something going on past Nebraska City or in Nebraska City that we didn't know about. And, you know, it was just more of a, slow down, dude. Yeah. Slow down. Chillax. So, hey,
got out of it.
That happened. All right. That happened today.
Well, since you brought yours out, I guess I'll bring mine out. The tool.
The tool. Did you bring the thing you were talking about?
Not quite.
All right. Fair enough. I want to see it. I want to see your tool.
All right.
Your tool.
All right. This is something I don't carry on a regular basis, but like if I'm going backpacking or taking over a pirate ship, or if I'm
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So this was a sword that we had on our Disney cruise. It's all it's foam.
I had one too.
Some would say it's a cutlass. But this is a not real. Oh, Britt's got one too.
Excellent. And mine's bigger.
Maloli peon.
Well, yeah. So Guyver was a pirate last year for Halloween. So
nice.
I'm like, I knew I had it somewhere right down here.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That was good though. That was really good, and I'm glad I had a comeback.
All right, so I want I want to give some resources, and then we're going to do some final thoughts here on this. But unless you had a couple other things, but
I'd really like to get onto these Moscow or Irish mules.
All right, well, you make those up. I'm going to give the resources, and then we'll do some final thoughts and drink the mules. So those of you that are looking for resources on what we are talking about, I have a few different websites that you can go to.
Is there a proper one you'd like to do? I would assume just like the regular one. Is there a whiskey that you would like to have in the Irish Mule?
I would go with just the regular.
Yeah, might as well.
So the three websites that I looked up here that I used for a lot of the information that are very, very knowledgeable and have a lot of great links and updated information. The first one I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast because they're doing some great things is Knife Rights. That's KNIFERIGHTS.org. That's the one that Dan Ritter or Doug Ritter that we had talked about at the beginning of the podcast.
Doug Ritter is doing amazing things for knife.
He is.
Education, knife rights, knife.
You can look him up on
knife.
You can look it up on YouTube and all that. They have a website. They have a Facebook page. They got a lot of information out there. He's doing some good things. He's been doing it since 2006 or 2009. Really, I think is when they formed. But the other website is AKTI.org, and that stands for American Knife and Tool Institute. A lot of great information there. If you want to look up some of the laws, they have a great tool for finding laws there. There is also www.knifeup, KNIFEUP.com. Those three websites, I used a lot of information from there, and they've if you're looking for what laws in your state are out there, they have some great updated information, and I would highly recommend going to those. So, Britt, what are you making here?
So this is what I call an Irish... Well, I forgot the last part of it.
Mule.
Yeah, Irish Mule. Thank you. I'm like, dog? No,
which most people think of a Moscow Mule from Russia.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing, only you ditch the mint and you add the lime. And so what I did was we did... I
don't put mint in my Moscow Mules.
Yep. I did 2 ounces of the whiskey, and I did just the regular Jameson Irish Whiskey. And then I added 4. So, like,
3, 4,
so you say 1 and then 2. One shot of that and then 2 shots of that.
Okay, a 1 to 2 ratio. A 1 to 2 ratio.
1 to 2 ratio. And then I added. I cut the lime in lime wedges like you would normally do for dressing the cup. And then all I did was 2 lime wedges inside of it and give it a good stir.
Cool. So. And these are not the non-insulated copper mugs. Which when you're drinking Moscow, this isn't crushed ice. But Moscow Mules, you can go out and you can buy copper mugs out there, but they're very expensive. They're
absolutely
like $30 to $40.
Yeah.
You can find them for $20, but usually they're the insulated. It's like a copper outside and a
You might as well
inside.
just mash up a bunch of pennies and create your own copper cup.
The whole purpose of the copper mug, it imparts there is a little bit of flavor on it.
Copper flavor.
It also transfers the coldness of it. And that's part of it.
And did you hear me earlier when I said that I'm putting the ice cubes in now?
Yep.
Only to get a little bit of water on the bottom. So it's just a little bit of water, but I cooled the cups before I put everything in.
That too. And the lime reacts with the copper too.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
cheers.
Okay. Very nice. And that was ginger beer, by the way.
Okay. Which we had.
I'm sorry. We had leftover from last week when we were doing all these. And I think last week the mixed drinks that was one of our favorites when we did the ginger beer.
And it's just a cool pop top.
On
the bottle.
Very cool pop top. And the people that make that are the Brandenburgs. The
Bundaberg.
The Verndebergs.
This I would, if I was going to drink this without knowing that you did ginger beer, I would say it was ginger ale because it's a little sweeter. But those of you that have not had ginger beer, I have had ginger beer like straight. I like ginger, and that's a hard thing for me to take straight. It's a very assertive flavor. This is a nice medium between the harsh ginger beer and ginger ale, which is like sugar.
I'd almost go as far as going
a hair more.
Just Just a little.
Just a little smidgen. Little smidgen.
A little smidgen. There we go.
Thank you for the nail.
Nail to stir our drinks.
Yeah.
And if you know the show, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Final thoughts. I want to talk a little bit about...
Well, all right. So I do have a story about my knife.
Just your EDC knife?
Well, at the time, my everyday carry knife was not just a knife, but it was a Gerber. It folded out. There was a pair of pliers.
It was a multi-tool. It wasn't just a knife.
Exactly.
Which
I had the knife.
I carry that in my car.
Which I've since lost, and I need to go buy a new one now.
Those are
it was $40, and it's well worth what I need it for.
Mm-hmm. To carry in your pocket, it's got a pocket clip. I mean, it's
those of you who don't know what I do AV, and I'm a rigger as well.
Audio, visual.
I need pliers, I need knives, I need screwdrivers all the time. So I've made do with this knife, the Kershaw.
Nice. I'm glad you got that right.
I've made do with that knife for a while, but every time I need to screw in a screwdriver, I gotta go find a screwdriver, and every time I need to tighten a bolt, I need to go find a pair of pliers. Anyway,
sometimes the multi-tools do it wrong too. I've got some that they just do the screwdrivers.
I've gone through 5 multi-tools, and I finally found the right one. And it's
that Gerber?
That Gerber that I had, it flings open, and it turns into a pair of pliers.
Which actually have a spring in them,
too.
But
the nice thing is it's small and compact.
You could carry it as a knife in your pocket because it's got the clip.
It's a little bit bigger than this.
It's
thicker. Little thicker than this. Yep. Barely a little thicker than this.
Yep.
But with that said...
heavier, but yes.
But I don't notice it because it's hanging on my pocket, and I got a belt, so it's no big deal. I was with AV Media at the time, and I was traveling in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I had put my knife on the road cases to come to Salt Lake City, Utah, and then it got there, and I opened it up, and I'm like, hey, there's my knife, perfect, throw it in my pocket, but then I didn't put it back.
Oh, and you went to the airport?
So I went to the airport. Yeah, so I went to the airport, and they're like, bing, 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 and I'm like,
damn it.
Yeah. And so they were going to take it away from me. But I'll tell you what, those people in Salt Lake City, Utah, were super fantastic and fabulous. Because you know what they did? They said, well, we can do one of two things. We can take it away from you, and you're never going to see it again. Or
you can mail it.
You can mail it to yourself.
Nice.
You read where I was going there.
Nice.
And you know where the mail was? Right in front. So the person walked me over to the mail place, watched me put it in the envelope, gave it to the person, and mailed it.
I'm sure that
I'm like,
happens.
how cool is it? Like, no. I'm sure that certain airports, a.k.a. Orlando, there's certain airports that you would get pat down like crazy, like, oh, you're trying to bring a knife in here? You're probably trying to bring something else in here. You know, like, there are certain airports out there that I hate traveling to.
Which is weird because if you're flying in, I would think flying out of Orlando they would be more critical about than flying into Orlando. I don't know.
Well, flying in, you've already been cross-checked. Flying out of it,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They would be more critical of you flying out of Orlando.
Oh, absolutely.
Searching your luggage and all that.
You're like in like Flint because you've been to another airport that should have done their due diligence.
Well, and I guess unless you were coming from overseas, but whatever.
But I just thought it was so cool that they were very cool, and I really didn't even have to explain it to them. I mean, we had our AV Media shirts on. We're media people. I'm just like, this is.
How many times has somebody taken over the plane?
Yeah,
with
and
a
it was
multi-tool.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't. I wasn't even trying to hide it. It was literally right here, and I'm in line, and I didn't even think of it because we had just got done packing the show, and I went, and they were like, take all the things out of your things, and I'm like, I'm like, I was almost ready to just like, oh, there's a trash can. I'll just throw it right there for you. Like I'll just do that. But they were very cool about it. I'm not trying to rob the plane. No, I'm just trying to get home, and I accidentally kept this on me. And
that's my bad. That's a very easy thing to do for those, especially for people that carry something with them. Like me, I carry something with on my persons at all times if I can. Obviously, there are certain situations that, like going to a concert, they're gonna pat you down, do the wand, and all that. You want to be very careful.
Absolutely.
Traveling.
Nowadays, I mean, heck, at CenturyLink Center, you can't even. There's nothing. You have to have a clear bag to bring in your stuff.
Well, and even so, a lot of people think that I'm going to be talking about just solely flying on an airplane, but like traveling in your car.
Oh yeah, I mean, not to mention, I had this in my pocket, which the blade is not illegal, but it's an assisted thing. Like I think the officer pulled us over, and he saw the bags in the trunk, and he saw the bags in the back seat, and he was just like, just let it, like these boys are telling the truth. They just want to get home to their wives, get out of here. Which he's like, that never happens. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of lucky.
Yeah. I do want to bring something up that we really haven't touched on in this topic at all.
Moscow Mule.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
I know.
I went back to the whiskey. I went back to the whiskey straight, just because I want to end on the Moscow Mule, because that's a very good ending.
Let's not do Moscow Mules. Let's do Irish Mules.
Yes, which is what this is, an Irish Mule.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I need to get out of town more often. My voice sounds great.
Something that we really haven't talked about is the implications of carrying a knife.
Yeah.
We have been mainly talking about using a knife, carrying a knife for a tool.
Yeah, and we've gone through what knives are what knives.
And what we carry. This is, I would say, because I wear a suit or business casual to work all the time. So this is the one that I carry with me probably.
You haven't brought this one? Oh, yeah, you brought this out.
80% of... No, I lock it. I always lock it.
Oh, it's got a lock on it.
Yeah.
So, with that said, does it make it more...
It's safe.
Does it make it more better as a knife?
And I would say, okay, so the number 2 knife that I carry with me when I wear jeans...
That's cool. So all it does is the very tip of the blade.
Yeah.
So the folks that aren't live with us right now or watching YouTube... it just has a little lock and it
just a little slide in a plastic bar.
Yeah, right before the the tippest point of the blade, it just locks it in place. That is very cool.
Well, and I wear slacks. And
well, you don't want that opening up in your slacks.
Exactly. And
well, there goes Brian's slacks.
And because it's an assisted opening, I mean, it opens
That's very quick.
If I bent down or rubbed against something, this could pop open in my pocket, which is why I lock it all the time. But that being said, I am not carrying this for self-defense.
No.
I am carrying this because it's a tool. I use it for opening boxes and mail and whatever, if you need to just cut something.
Yeah. A piece of rope?
Well, I'm not usually cutting rope, but...
I am.
I know you may be, but...
All the time I'm cutting rope.
If I was cutting rope, I'd actually have something with a serrated blade on there, which you do. Yep. See? Yep. But... if you are carrying a knife for self-protection, which some people do, that elevates it because that elevates a moral obligation or a moral implication to you. Because most people that carry a knife are just carrying it because I want a knife. I find throughout the day that I need to cut things, a box, a letter, a rope, whatever. If you're carrying it for self-defense, you need to be completely aware that that is a completely different mental state that you need to be in.
Well, here's what it is. I think I carry mine for both.
Yes.
Here's my reasoning behind that. Being as though we are the AV people, we're the first line of defense. We know how to turn all the lights on. We know how to tell everybody to get out. We know where the fire exits are. We know exactly where the EMT gear is at, so that if somebody's having a heart attack, I can jumpstart that heart. If someone's bleeding, I know where that medical kit is.
You're pulling them up to the car?
If there's a first-person's shooter situation, I'm the first line of defense. They're not gonna walk into a room of executives of very rich people in town and go after me. I'm the last person they're going after. They're going after, whatever they need to go after. But who am I? I'm nobody. But I know how to press a button over here and turn the lights off. And now you don't know where you're at. And I show up right next to you, and I've got a 3.5-inch blade right in your side. You know, I'm not saying that I'm going to do that, but if he opens fire, absolutely I'm going to do that.
I was going to say, let's play that scenario out, because we're talking moral implications here.
Yes.
You turn off the lights.
I'm trying to save the public.
Right, but you just brought a knife to a gunfight.
I think that I'd win.
I know, but that's such a mental, like, to take a life. That's something that
I'm not
is
saying
very
take a life. I'm saying I put this in his abdomen and he goes down quickly.
If he just walked into a building in order to kill people with a gun, he is willing to take a life.
Right.
So the fact that you have a knife at his side does not stop him. It makes him turn that gun onto you, and that is completely elevating a situation. That's
I could be the hero.
You could be,
or I could be the fallen soldier.
But that is a mental state that a lot of people are not prepared to do,
and that's why I'm asking for more training.
I know, and that's where I was going to go with this.
And I've brought it to the right people's attention that I'm in a scenario where that, you know, high figure individuals are in my realm a lot of the time. Yeah,
I know. It's just the way you phrased it. It was funny.
I just want to be
your realm,
my realm.
I know.
I just want to be safe, and I want to know that everyone's going to be safe, and I want to know that I have the ability to keep people safe.
I would like more Irish Mule.
That was good, wasn't it?
Very good.
But we're gonna have to. Do you want the darkest of dark, or do you want the lightest of light?
Let's do the lighter one. If you're going to carry a knife for self-defense, I would implore you, I would encourage you to.
I wouldn't consider that self-defense either, though. I would consider that guarding the public.
I know, but self-defense and defense of others is very similar. But I would
think that if we knew he was walking in the building and had to get up to where we normally have events, something would be triggered, and I could get them out the back door quicker than anything. And then he walks up, and he's like, an empty ballroom. He's like,
oh.
I thought there were people in here.
You suck.
Everybody's in the junior ballroom like,
nobody make it.
Don't do anything.
Nobody
There's
move.
a shooter in the
Nobody
other room.
get hurt. So I would, but if
send in the Falcon.
If you think you are, if you are carrying a knife for self-defense or protection, I would encourage you to do some training. Seek out training, because if you are not comfortable handling a knife in self-defense situations, and I'm telling you, when the adrenaline hits, self-defense situations,
ready to go.
Oh my!
Ready to go.
If you have no idea what adrenaline does to your body when you're in a situation like that, you need to go to training to figure out what happens, because they will put you through scenarios like that. The thing that I always revert back to is
Didn't I say we needed one more little?
Yeah. Whatever you are carrying, bear in mind that if you don't have the proper training to carry that weapon, whatever it may be, that weapon could be taken from you and used against you. So if it's a giant 18-inch handled with a 12-inch blade for home protection, like I have, or a Ginsu knife.
Something out of your butcher's block that you would chop meat with.
Those are my favorite knives, actually. And I actually have my paring knife is a very small version of this, actually, because I enjoy these type of knives.
Yeah.
Best. And always hand a knife by the handle back to people. Just FYI. I know. I just for those.
I was doing that to you.
I know. I handed the handle back.
Here you go.
Well, some people just don't know.
You don't know.
Proper knife etiquette. Yeah. But back to the training.
And they do offer knife classes out there, so go ahead and seek those out.
Yeah. Here
we don't offer them at this show, but I'm sure somebody does.
I would say here locally, Tactical 88. I didn't talk to them beforehand, but I would say that they do offer self-defense courses, and I'm fairly certain they offer knife courses out at that one. I'm sure that there are some martial arts studios that would offer self-defense courses.
Absolutely.
With weapons, probably a focus on knives or small arms.
Tumble roll. Knife out.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Yep. So
that's how I do it, though.
Yeah.
I tumble roll the knife out.
I did want to point that out there because we were talking about, we didn't label this one Knife Fight because we were just trying to be quippy on that one. But
I just thought it was a clever name.
I know it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you followed us this entire program, I came up with that literally 10 minutes before we were going on the air.
Not even.
Yeah, maybe 3 minutes before. I'm like, what do we label this? And you said Knife Rights. I'm like, Knife Fights sound better.
Yeah. So, that being said, do your due diligence with whatever state you live in.
Absolutely.
And find out what the laws in your state, what you can carry, what you cannot carry. If you have a concealed carry, what does that mean? There are some states that I saw that will allow you to carry up to like a 5 or 6 inch blade. I don't know how you carry that in your pocket, but
right there. That's how you carry that in your pocket.
With all the stuff I carry in my pockets, there's no way that's going to fit in my pocket.
Well, here's the thing. Feel that. And then feel that.
Well, I'm wearing slacks. It fits.
Well, you're your slacks, but I mean, if you were in jeans,
like it fits in the pocket, but like if you move, it's like there's a giant thing in my pocket. So
people could refer that to other things in your pocket.
Is that a knife in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Exactly. You know where it's going.
All right, folks. That's all I got. We're gonna Britt and I are probably gonna stick around for the you and I might stick around for the after talk.
And we're done. I'm out.
Where are you gonna go?
We're gonna have a knife fight later.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh.
That was funny that you brought that out. I was just like, no, I've got one somewhere. Here it is.
Give me 30 seconds.
Yeah, right.
All right. That's all I got on this one. Just please, if you're going to carry a knife for protection,
be safe.
Yes, be safe. Do take some classes on self-defense.
Know your rights.
Make sure you know the moral implications of carrying
know your
a knife.
laws in your state.
Well, yeah, not only state, but your city too.
Yeah.
Because, like I stated earlier, the state has different laws, very similar, but the city has more restricted laws than the state does. So let's be very careful about that. Thank you for joining us. We've been drinking on Jameson Irish Whiskey,
and it was so good. 3
different kinds. They were delicious.
I think by far all of them were good, but this was great.
My favorite was the black. If we're going just straight, the black.
I'm gonna go with just the original Jameson.
If you want an introduction to Irish whiskey, Jameson's the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was very smooth. And when I first took it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what Jameson is.
Put if you're gonna drink it neat, just to find out what the flavor, or 1 ice cube.
Oh, and by the way, the water bottle that we had on set the entire time. Oh, I love that on set. The water bottle we had on set the entire time, I filled it with ice about midway, and by the time we used it, there was no ice in it, so the water was chilled just a little bit.
Just above freezing.
So it wasn't like lukewarm, it wasn't room temperature water, it was just a little bit colder water.
I like to cool the drinks a little bit, but I don't like them cold, because cold will actually decrease the flavor, and I'm a big flavor fan. So,
and we're drinking on Moscow Mules that are frozen.
It's still a lot of flavor with that ginger beer.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, thank you for joining us. The ones that have been watching us on Facebook Live, I appreciate. Thank you for the questions.
Exactly. Chris, and keep them coming. So even when the show does end, we still do answer those questions after the show's over.
So the next day or so, we try and go back over all the people that have commented on the video. And we do get notifications when you do comment on that, so we'll try and answer that as quickly as possible.
We both do.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. We've been talking on knife rights during Knife Fight. My name's Brian.
I'm Britt.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir.